You ever hold something in your hands and feel the weight of a life you almost lived? I'm standing here, 65 years old, in my garage, clutching this worn-out basketball. Its leather cracked like the lines on my face. It's quiet now, just the hum of the neighborhood outside. The kids down the street are shooting hoops, their laughter bouncing off the pavement. I watch them sometimes from my porch, their sneakers squeaking, their dreams so big they spill over into every dribble. My grandson Jaden is out there too, 14 and already taller than I was at his age. He's got this fire in him, this hunger to chase the ball like it's his whole world. Watching him, it's like staring into a mirror of who I used to be. But then the ache creeps in, the kind that sits in your chest and whispers, what if? This ball in my hands, it's not just a ball, it's a time machine. Every scuff mark, every faded patch, it's a piece of a story I've carried for decades, a story I've never told, not to Jaden, not to my kids, not even to myself in the quiet of the night. But today, I'm cracking that door open, because maybe it's time. Maybe you out there need to hear it too. I grew up in a small town in Ohio where the winters were brutal, but the summers, man, they were magic. The kind of summers where the sun didn't set until you were too tired to keep running. Our street was nothing special. Cracked asphalt, a rusty hoop nailed to a telephone pole. But to me, it was Madison Square Garden. I was 12, maybe 13 when I first picked up a basketball. It wasn't mine. It belonged to my older cousin Tommy, who'd let me borrow it after he got bored. The second I held it, something clicked. Like the world made sense. I'd spend hours out there, dribbling until my hands blistered, shooting until the streetlights flickered on and my mom's voice echoed down the block, calling me home. Back then, I wasn't just playing for fun. I was playing for something bigger. I'd watch NBA games on our grainy TV, Magic Johnson weaving through defenders, Larry Bird sinking shots like it was nothing. I'd lie in bed at night, picturing myself out there, my name on a jersey, the crowd roaring. I wasn't the tallest kid or the fastest, but I had heart, and I worked. Every day I'd be out there, rain or shine, teaching myself crossovers, perfecting my jump shot. By high school, I was good, really good. Coaches noticed. Teammates leaned on me. People in town started whispering about that Carter kid who might actually make it out, might go somewhere. But dreams like that, they don't just depend on you. They depend on the people around you, the ones who lift you up or the ones who don't. My mom, she was my world. A single mom working 2 hours, always tired, but never too tired to show up for me. She'd sit on the porch with a glass of iced tea, watching me practice, clapping when I made a tough shot. I'd look over at her, and her smile, it was like fuel. I thought she believed in me. I thought she saw what I saw, a kid with a shot at something big. But there was something I didn't see, something she wasn't saying, and that silence, that unspoken weight she carried, it changed everything. It took my dream, my fire, and snuffed it out before I even knew what happened. I'm not standing here to point fingers or dwell on regrets. That's not what this is about. This is about pulling back the curtain on a moment that shaped me, a moment that's probably shaped a lot of you too. Because I know I'm not the only one who's wondered what might have been. I know I'm not the only one who's held on to a dream so tight it left scars. So let me take you back. Back to that summer when I was 16, when the world felt wide open, when I thought nothing could stop me. I was on the cusp of something. Tryouts for a regional team, a chance to get noticed by college scouts. I was ready. I'd been ready my whole life. But then one night, everything shifted. One conversation, or lack of one, changed the trajectory of who I was supposed to be. Stick with me. Let's go back to that moment. To that house, to that porch where my mom sat, her iced tea sweating in the heat, her eyes holding something I was too young to understand. It's funny how you don't realize how fragile a dream is until someone takes a swing at it. That summer, when I was 16, I was standing on the edge of something big. I could feel it in my bones. But back then, I didn't know how easily the ground could shift under you, how the people you love most can build you up and break you down without saying a word. We didn't have much growing up. Our house was small, a little brick rancher with creaky floors and a roof that leaked when it rained too hard. Mom worked as a cashier at the grocery store during the day and cleaned offices at night. She'd come home with her hands rough from scrubbing, her eyes heavy, but she'd still find a way to make dinner. Usually something simple like spaghetti or tuna casserole. We'd sit around our wobbly kitchen table, just the two of us, and she'd ask about my day, about school, about basketball. I'd talk a mile a minute, telling her about a new move I'd practiced, or a game where I'd scored 20 points. She'd nod, smile, maybe say, "That's my boy." I thought she got it. I thought she saw the same future I did. Basketball wasn't just a game to me anymore. It was my way out. I'd lie awake at night staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars on my ceiling, imagining myself at a big college, maybe Ohio State or Kentucky, wearing a jersey with my name on it. I'd picture Mom in the stands, cheering, not having to work two jobs anymore because I'd made it. I'd buy her a house, a nice one with a porch swing and no leaks. That's what kept me going. What made me push through the sore muscles and the late nights practicing under the streetlights. I wasn't just playing for me, I was playing for us. That summer, things were heating up. I'd been invited to try out for a regional AAU team, the kind of team that got you noticed by college scouts. It was a big deal, bigger than anything I'd ever done. I'd spent weeks preparing, running drills, watching grainy VHS tapes of old games to study moves. I'd even saved up from mowing lawns to buy a new pair of sneakers, these white and red Nikes that made me feel like I could fly. I was ready, or at least I thought I was. Then one night, everything changed. It was late July, hot as hell, the kind of heat that makes the air feel sticky. I was on the porch, shooting hoops at the rusty basket we'd bolted to the side of the house. Mom was inside, washing dishes, the clink of plates mixing with the cicadas humming outside. I'd just gotten a letter in the mail that day, a letter from the AAU coach confirming my tryout spot and listing the dates. I was buzzing, couldn't stop grinning. I ran inside to show her, holding that letter like it was a winning lottery ticket. "Mom, look at this," I said, practically shoving the paper in her face. "It's official. I'm trying out for the regional team. This could be it, you know? This could get me to college." She dried her hands on a dish towel, took the letter and read it. I was expecting her to light up, to hug me, to say something like, "I'm so proud of you." But her face, it didn't move. Her lips pressed into a thin line and her eyes got this faraway look, like she was seeing something I couldn't. She handed the letter back to me and said, "That's nice, Marcus, but you know we can't afford to be chasing dreams like that." I froze. "What do you mean? It's just a tryout. It's not like I'm asking for money." She turned back to the sink, scrubbing a plate that was already clean. "You need to focus on school. Get a job after graduation, something steady. Basketball's not going to pay the bills." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I stood there, the letter crumpling in my hand, waiting for her to say something else, to take it back. But she didn't. She just kept washing dishes, the water sloshing like nothing had happened. I wanted to yell, to ask her why she didn't believe in me, but the words stuck in my throat. I just walked out, back to the porch, and shot hoops until my arms burned, trying to drown out the hurt. The next morning, I woke up to find the basketball hoop gone. The bolts were unscrewed, the rusty rim tossed in the backyard like trash. I ran to Mom, my heart pounding. "What happened to the hoop?" She was folding laundry, didn't even look up. "It was an eyesore, neighbors complained." That was a lie, and we both knew it. Nobody cared about that hoop. I stood there, my hands shaking, feeling like the ground was caving in. She'd taken it down. She'd taken my hoop, my sanctuary, my dream, and thrown it away like it was nothing. I wanted to scream, to beg her to explain, but all I could do was stand there, swallowing the lump in my throat. That night, Stuart, I locked myself in my room and cried. I'd never felt so alone, so betrayed. The dream I'd built, the one I'd poured my heart into, was slipping through my fingers, and the person I trusted most was the one pulling it away. I didn't know how to fight back, how to make her see what she was doing to me. All I knew was the silence. The way she wouldn't look at me, wouldn't talk about it, was louder than any word she could have said. But that wasn't the end, not yet. There was more to come, more moments that would test me, that would force me to decide who I was going to be. You ever want something so bad it feels like it's carved into your bones? After Mom took down that hoop, I could have given up. I could have let her words, her silence, swallow me whole. But something in me wouldn't let go. Basketball wasn't just a game anymore. It was the air I breathed, the pulse in my veins. Even when the world told me to stop, I found a way to keep going, even if it meant doing it in the shadows. Our house felt different after that summer, smaller somehow. Mom went back to her routines, work, dishes, laundry, like nothing had changed. But for me, everything had. The porch where I used to shoot hoops was just a porch now, empty except for a couple of plastic chairs and a cracked flower pot. I'd walk by it every day, feeling this ache, like a piece of me was missing. I didn't have a hoop, didn't have her support, but I still had the dream, and I wasn't ready to bury it. So I got creative. I couldn't afford a new hoop, and I wasn't about to ask Mom for anything. Instead, I scavenged. There was this old wooden crate in the garage, half rotted, that I dragged out to the alley behind our house. I nailed it to a telephone pole using a hammer I borrowed from a neighbor. It wasn't pretty, splinters everywhere, barely held together, but it was mine. I'd sneak out there at dawn before Mom woke up, or late at night when the street was quiet. I didn't have a real basketball anymore either. She'd hidden it somewhere, or maybe thrown it out. So I used this old soccer ball I found in a ditch, half deflated, but it worked well enough to dribble. Those moments in the alley, they were my secret. Nobody knew. Not Mom, not my teammates, not even my best friend, Reggie, who'd moved on to football. It was just me, the crate, and that sorry excuse for a ball. I'd practice my crossovers, my fadeaways, imagining I was on a real court, under real lights. The alley was narrow, barely enough room to move, with gravel crunching under my sneakers and the occasional stray cat watching from a fence. But in my head, I was somewhere else. I was at the free throw line in a packed gym, the clock ticking down, the crowd holding its breath. Every shot I took, every dribble, it was me saying, I'm still here. I'm not done. There's something about a dream like that, you know? It's like a fire in a storm. The wind howls, the rain pours, but that flame keeps flickering, refusing to go out. That's what basketball was for me. It wasn't about fame or glory anymore. It was about proving to myself that I could keep going, even when no one believed in me, even when the person I loved most didn't see me. I'd practice until my hands were raw, until my legs felt like jelly. The crate would wobble every time I banked a shot, and sometimes it'd fall apart and I'd have to nail it back together. I got good at keeping quiet, dribbling potted so the neighbors wouldn't complain, shooting low so the ball wouldn't bounce too far. I'd wear an old hoodie, the hood up, not because it was cold, but because it made me feel invisible. Like I was guarding this part of myself from the world. One night, I remember it so clearly. It was October, the air crisp, the sky this deep indigo with a few stars poking through. I was out in the alley working on my footwork, pivoting around imaginary defenders. The soccer ball was slick from the dew, slipping through my fingers. But I didn't care. I was lost in it, in the rhythm of the dribble, the way my breath synced with every move. For a second, I looked up and saw my reflection in a puddle on the ground. Just this blurry outline of a kid, moving like he had something to prove. And I did. Not to Mom, not to the coaches, but to myself. That moment, it felt like I was holding on to something bigger than me, something no one could take away. But it wasn't easy. The loneliness was heavy. There were days I'd come back inside, my sneakers caked with dirt, and Mom would be at the kitchen table, balancing her checkbook or sorting bills. She'd glance at me, her eyes tired, and say something like, "You're up early," or "Don't track mud in here." She didn't know where I'd been, what I'd been doing. I wanted to tell her, to show her the calluses on my hands, the bruises on my shins, to say, "Look, Mom, I'm still fighting." But I couldn't. The wall between us was too high, built brick by brick with her silence and my hurt. I kept going, though, day after day, night after night. I'd stash the soccer ball under a pile of junk in the garage, hide my sneakers so she wouldn't ask questions. I'd study plays in my room, sketching them on notebook paper, memorizing every angle. I was 16, then 17, and the tryouts I'd missed were long gone. But I told myself there'd be another chance, another team, another shot. I just had to keep working, keep believing, even if I was the only one. Looking back, those years in the alley, they shaped me. They taught me what it means to love something so much you'll bleed for it, even when no one's watching. They taught me that a dream doesn't need a crowd to be real. It just needs you. But dreams, they don't live in a vacuum. Life has a way of creeping in, of testing how much you can carry. And for me, that test was coming. A moment that would force me to choose between the fire in my heart and the weight of the world I lived in. Sometimes life dangles a dream in front of you, so close you can almost taste it, only to rip it away just when you start to believe. By the time I was 17, I learned to keep my love for basketball hidden, tucked away in the alley behind our house where no one could touch it. But dreams have a way of breaking free, of finding light even when you've buried them deep. And for one fleeting moment, I thought mine might actually come true. It started with Coach Daniels. He was the varsity coach at my high school, a gruff guy with a whistle always around his neck, the kind of coach who could spot talent from a months away. I'd quit the team after Mom took down the hoop, too hurt and too stubborn to explain why. But Coach never forgot me. He'd seen me play my sophomore year, seen the way I could drive to the basket, the way I'd fight for every rebound. One day, out of the blue, he caught me in the school parking lot after class. I was walking home, my backpack slung over one shoulder, when he pulled up in his beat-up Ford pickup. "Carter," he called out, leaning out the window. "You still got that fire in you." I froze, caught off guard. "I don't really play anymore, Coach," I mumbled, kicking at a pebble on the asphalt. He squinted at me like he could see right through the lie. "Bull, I saw you last week messing around in that alley by your house. You're still good, kid. Better than good." My heart skipped. I hadn't realized anyone was watching. I'd been so careful, sneaking out at odd hours, keeping my moves quiet. But Coach had seen me, seen the hours I'd poured into that makeshift crate hoop, the way I'd turned a deflated soccer ball into my lifeline. He didn't say much more, just told me to keep my eyes open, then drove off. I walked home that day feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. A week later it happened. I got home from school and found a letter in the mailbox, addressed to me in neat type print. My hands were shaking as I tore it open. It was from a community college an hour away, a small school with a decent basketball program. The letter was short but clear. Coach Daniels had recommended me. They'd heard I had potential, and they were inviting me to an open tryout for their team. A full ride was on the table if I made the cut. A full ride, college, basketball, a way out. I read that letter 3 times, standing right there by the mailbox, my heart pounding so loud I thought the neighbors could hear it. I ran inside, the letter clutched in my hand, my sneakers squeaking on the linoleum. "Mom," I shouted, finding her in the kitchen, stirring a pot of chili. "You gotta see this. I got a tryout, a college tryout. They're talking about a scholarship." She turned, wiping her hands on her apron, and took the letter. I was practically bouncing, grinning like a kid on Christmas morning. I thought this was it, the moment she'd finally see what I'd been fighting for, the moment she'd realize I wasn't just chasing some pipe dream. I waited for her to smile, to hug me, to say anything at all. But she didn't. Her face went still, like a door slamming shut. She set the letter on the counter and turned back to the stove. "We can't afford it, Marcus," she said, her voice flat. "You need to focus on something real." I felt the air leave my lungs. "What do you mean? It's a scholarship. It's free, Mom. This is my shot." She didn't look at me, just kept stirring that damn pot, the spoon scraping against the metal. "You think it's free? There's travel, equipment, time away from work. You think I can just drop everything so you can play a game?" I stood there, my excitement curdling into something else. Anger, hurt, disbelief. "This isn't just a game," I said, my voice cracking. "This is my life. Why can't you see that?" That's when she snapped. She spun around, her eyes blazing, and for the first time I saw something in her I didn't recognize. Fear, maybe, or something heavier. "Enough," she shouted. "You're not going. That's final. You're not throwing your life away on some fantasy. You're going to graduate, get a term, and help out around here. That's what we do. That's what I did." I opened my mouth to argue, but she cut me off. "If you go to that tryout, don't bother coming back. I mean it, Marcus. You'll be on your own." The words hit like a sledgehammer. I stood there, the letter still in my hand, feeling the world tilt. She wasn't just saying no, she was threatening to cut me loose, to kick me out of the only home I'd ever known. I was 17, still a kid, and she was my mom. The one person I'd always counted on, the one person I thought would always have my back. And she was standing there telling me to choose my dream or my family. I don't remember walking to my room, but I ended up there. The door closed, the letter crumpled on my bed. I sat on the floor, my back against the wall, staring at those glow-in-the-dark stars on my ceiling. I wanted to scream, to cry, to run back out and beg her to change her mind. But deep down, I knew she wouldn't. Her silence all those years, her small dismissals, the way she'd torn down the hoop, it all led to this. This was the final blow, the one that broke me. I didn't go to the tryout. I couldn't. The fear of losing her, of losing everything, was bigger than the dream I'd carried for so long. I folded that letter up, tucked it in a shoebox under my bed, and let it go. The fire in me didn't die that day. It just went out, like a candle snuffed by a cold wind. That was the end of my basketball journey. But it wasn't the end of the story. There's more to tell about what came after, about how I found a way to keep going, even with a heart full of scars. There's a kind of quiet that settles in when you let go of a dream. It's not peaceful, it's heavy, like a fog that chokes out the light. After I folded up that letter from the college tryout and shoved it under my bed, something in me broke. Not all at once, but piece by piece, until the kid who used to dribble in the alley until midnight was gone. I didn't just stop playing basketball. I stopped believing I could be anything at all. I was 17, still living in that same small house with the creaky floors and the porch that used to hold my hoop. Mom's words from that night, her threat to kick me out if I chased my dream, hung over me like a shadow. I couldn't shake them. I'd always been her boy, the one who made her laugh after a long shift, the one who'd sit with her at the kitchen table and split the last slice of cornbread. She was all I had, so I did what I thought I had to do. I buried the dream. I buried me. I stopped going to the alley. That rickety crate hoop I'd nailed to the pole. I left it there, let the rain and the wind tear it apart. The deflated soccer ball I'd used as a makeshift basketball stayed in the garage, buried under a pile of old rags. I didn't talk about basketball anymore. Not with my friends, not at school, not even in my own head. When Reggie, my old buddy, asked why I wasn't trying out for the team again, I just shrugged and said, "Not my thing anymore." He looked at me like I'd grown a second head, but I didn't explain. How could I? How do you tell someone you've given up on the one thing that made you feel alive? I became the son Mom wanted. I focused on school, got a part-time job, bagging groceries at the same store where she worked. I'd see her at the cash register, ringing up customers with that tired smile, and I'd think, this is what she needs from me. I'd come home after my shift, do my homework, help with the dishes. I didn't argue with her, didn't push back. I was good, dutiful, the kind of kid who didn't make waves. On the outside, I was fine. I laughed at the right times, nodded when people talked, kept my head down. But inside I was unraveling. There were moments, though, when I couldn't hide it. I'd catch myself staring out the window during class, watching kids on the blacktop, shooting hoops, their voices carrying through the glass. My hands would twitch, remembering the feel of the ball, the way it fit just right in my palm. Or I'd pass by the alley on my way home, see that splintered crate still clinging to the pole, and feel this pang in my chest, like a bruise that wouldn't heal. The fire was still there, buried deep, but every time it flickered, I'd stamp it out. "Stop it, Marcus," I'd tell myself. "That's over. That's not you anymore." I started to hate the kid I used to be, the one who dreamed of college, of NBA courts, of making Mom proud in a way that wasn't about paying bills or punching a clock. That kid felt like a stranger now, naive and foolish for thinking he could have more. I'd lie in bed at night, staring at those glow-in-the-dark stars on my ceiling, and I'd tell myself I was done with all that. Basketball was a kid's game, a waste of time. I had to grow up, be realistic, be the man Mom needed me to be. But every time I said it, it felt like I was carving out a piece of myself, leaving less and less behind. Mom noticed the change, I think. Not because she said anything, she never did, But because of the way she'd look at me sometimes, I'd catch her watching me across the kitchen table, her eyes soft and sad, like she could see the emptiness I was trying to hide. Once she reached out and touched my hand, just for a second, and said, "You're a good son, Marcus." It should have felt good hearing that, but it didn't. It felt like a weight, like she was thanking me for giving up who I was. I graduated high school, got a full-time job at a warehouse, loading boxes onto trucks. It was steady work, the kind Mom always talked about. I'd come home exhausted, my back aching, and she'd nod approvingly, like I was finally on the right path. But every day, I felt myself fading a little more. I stopped dreaming, stopped hoping, stopped looking for anything beyond the next shift. I was 18, then 19, and I was already living like my life was over. Looking back, I wonder who I was protecting by letting that fire go out. Was it Mom so she wouldn't have to worry about me? Or was it me so I wouldn't have to feel the pain of wanting something I couldn't have? All I know is that when you stop believing in yourself, it's not just a dream that dies. It's a part of you, the part that dares to hope, to fight, to become. I carried that emptiness for years, a quiet ache that never quite went away. But life doesn't stop, and neither do we, even when we're broken. There's more to this story about how I found a way to live again, to find new dreams, even with the scars of the old ones still there. I'm back in my garage now, 65 years old, holding that cracked leather basketball, the one that's been with me through it all. The kids down the street are still out there, their sneakers pounding the pavement, their laughter cutting through the evening air. My grandson, Jaden, is among them, his lanky frame darting across the court, his eyes lit with that same fire I used to know so well. Watching him, I feel something shift and maw at me. A warmth, a quiet healing, like a wound that's finally starting to close. It's been decades since I let my dream die, since I folded up that college tryout letter and chose to be the son my mom needed. I carried that choice like a stone in my chest, heavy and cold, for years. I built a life, got married, raised 2 kids, worked 40 years at the warehouse, retired with a small pension and a bad back. It was a good life, steady, the kind Mom always wanted for me. But it was a life without basketball, without that part of me that once believed I could be more. For a long time, I thought that part was gone forever, buried under the weight of duty and time. Then Jaden came along. He's 14 now, all legs and dreams, with a jump shot that's smoother than mine ever was. The first time I saw him play, really play, was at a middle school game a couple years ago. I sat in the bleachers, my hands clasped tight, watching him weave through defenders like they were standing still. It was like looking at a ghost, not just of me, but of the kid I used to be, the one who'd sneak out to the alley at dawn, who'd shoot hoops until his hands bled. That fire I thought I'd lost, it was right there, burning bright in him. I never told Jaden my story, not the whole thing. He knows I used to play, knows I was pretty good back in the day, but I've never laid it all bare. The hoop Mom tore down, the letter I never answered, the dreams I let slip away. Maybe I should. Maybe one day I will. But for now, I keep it close, like a secret I'm not ready to share. Instead, I show up. I'm at every game, every practice, sitting in the stands with a thermos of coffee, cheering louder than anyone. I bought him his first real basketball, a Spalding, and a pair of Nikes that cost more than I'd like to admit. When he practices in the driveway, I'm there, rebounding for him, passing the ball, offering pointers without making a big deal of it. Keep your elbows in, I'll say, or follow through on your shot. He rolls his eyes sometimes, but he listens. Watching Jaden, I see what I could have been, but it's not about regret anymore. It's about something bigger, something that feels like redemption. His dream isn't mine, but it's connected, like a thread that stretches across the years, tying us together. I can't go back and change what happened, can't undo the choices I made or the silence that shaped them. But I can be here now for him in a way no one was for me. I can make sure he knows someone believes in him, someone sees him. I think about Mom a lot these days. She passed a few years back, and we never really talked about what happened. Not in the way I wish we had. For a long time, I carried anger toward her, a quiet resentment for the way she shut me down. But now, looking back, I see her differently. She wasn't trying to hurt me. She was scared. Scared of losing me. Scared of a world she couldn't control. Scared of a dream she didn't understand. She was a single mom, working herself to the bone, trying to keep us afloat. She did what she thought was right, even if it broke something in me. I've forgiven her, not because it erases the pain, but because holding on to it doesn't change the past. It only keeps me from the present. Jaden's out there now, sinking a three-pointer, his friends whooping like he just won the NBA Finals. I smile, leaning against the garage door, the basketball still in my hands. This ball, it's more than a relic. It's a piece of my story, a reminder of the fire that never fully went out. I didn't make it to the college courts or the bright lights, but I'm here, passing that fire to someone else, letting it burn anew. That's what I want you to take from this, wherever you are, whatever dream you've carried or lost. Sometimes the journey doesn't end the way you plan. Sometimes it gets cut short, and you have to find a way to live with the pieces. But dreams don't die. They transform. They live on in the people you love, in the ways you show up, in the quiet moments when you choose to keep going. For me, it's in Jaden's jump shot, in the way his eyes light up when he talks about going pro someday. It's in the way I'm here, cheering, believing, even when I couldn't believe in myself. So hold on to your fire, whatever it is. And if it flickers, if it fades, look for the ones coming after you. Pass it on, let it live again. Because even a dream that's been buried can find its way back to the light.